Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here, and we have Kyle Schrum. What's up, Kyle?
What's up?
Ashley Hicks, how you doing?
Good.
And Joe Courtney.
Hi.
How about them Chiefs?
Woo, go
There we go.
Mahomes.
Was everybody going for the Chiefs here? That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, Wreckham Tech.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley and I have an actual reason. I don't know why you guys are going for the Chiefs, but
I don't know. They did too.
I'm just messing around. We both went to Texas Tech University, and that's where he was the quarterback. So anyway,
I'm just happy that a team that I pull for actually won something significant. So
that's pretty exciting.
I thought that my Vols fan curse was gonna do them in there for a minute.
Well,
but then they came back and pulled it out. So
being from Tennessee, the Titans really helped out the entire AFC. Just saying.
that's true.
So
That's
props
true.
to them. That's all I care about.
That's probably part of why. Is that way the team that I usually pull for lost to the Super Bowl champs? That's probably part of why. But I don't know. I just wanted to see the Chiefs win it. I just picked the Chiefs. That's just what I went with.
There you go. All right, Joe, updates, man. What you got?
I'm broken again.
What are you doing?
No, I'm just kidding. I think
You're not
it's
really
just,
kidding, are you? You're broken somewhere.
I'm only half. Yeah, I'm broken somewhere. It just seems like my left side is just not good. It's the same side that I partially tore my hamstring, and the same side that I'm getting some shoulder, a little bit of shoulder work done. And then after my lacrosse game, and next morning, I went to bend over, and like my left side of my lower back is just super tight.
Have you ever thought about giving up lacrosse?
Hurt. Well, I told Liz this like right before my game. I was like, this might be my last lacrosse game ever. Because, we're going to be gone for 2 years and I'm getting kind of old. And she's like, no, we're not old. You can still play after. And then I hurt my back. So,
I mean, just out of the four, just as like a real small sample size, but of the four sitting here who follow Garage Gym Athlete programming, 75% of us not injured. Just saying.
It's true. That's true.
Well,
and none of us play lacrosse.
Yeah.
If so facto,
This is non-scientific.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just straight math.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm going to say that I think it's linked back to the Spartan race. If so facto, it's Trampus's fault.
Yep.
Because
there we go.
My lower back connects to the hamstring, and the hamstring is still kind of recovering. So,
well, here's an honest question: do you squat on a incline? Like I know a lot of garages do. I don't know if your backyard does. Do you have a?
So there's a teeny tiny decline to my I face the incline, but I wear my lifters, so it kind of makes it even.
Okay, you're probably fine. I like to ask that question because some people, if you've been squatting in a garage for years and say you're squatting, you're like on the incline, but if your left foot's slightly lower than your right,
that's a no-go.
That's something that you really need to take into account over time. Even if it's just every other week, you change which side that you're approaching the barbell, or going through the trouble of actually leveling that space. And that's just a little pro tip for all the garage gym athletes out there. Pay attention to the incline in your garage because they're all there. You don't want your house to get flooded. So, okay. You're broken. Ashley, update from you.
Nothing crazy new going on. My little one is going to go to preschool, hopefully in the fall, and just had a little bit of a mix-up. So my update is, y'all be nice to people because you never know what you might do that could hurt someone. So that's my update.
I used to have a really bad temper when I was like growing up. So, I mean, kind of fizzled out maybe around middle school. I just didn't have the size to back up a temper, especially back then. So I really my brother's like, you probably shouldn't do that. because he had to bail me out of one too many situations. Anyway, got through the temper. The only thing that can still get my temper like flared up to this day is if I see someone treating someone else poorly, like in public, that like say you're at Starbucks and you're having a bad day and you decide to crap on the person taking your order because they messed it up. You get real mad at them.
Mm-hmm.
I get like rage level mad and want to correct your behavior, and will, to some degree. Like I'll at least say something, and I'm like, okay, this is probably going to get you killed someday. Just like ease back,
take it back.
That's the only thing. When you're rude to other people, I get really mad, and I don't have a right to get mad. It just happens. So I agree with you. Be nice to other people.
I think there should be a little bit of that. I mean, don't go around just, being like going off on everybody for every little thing. But
yeah, because the real situation,
I think a good society has something like that in it. There needs to be some kind of shared responsibility for that.
Yeah, because the real situation is not going to be Ashley getting mad at the dude taking her order at Starbucks. It's going to be some dude who's a jerk getting mad at some like 18-year-old small female. Those are the ones that really trigger me. Anyway, that was a tangent. Kyle, how's life, man? Updates from you.
Things are going well. Hannah actually did her first Meet Yourself Saturday this past weekend. Big. We did it together after we put the kids to sleep. And I have to say, Quarter Mile for Humanity was maybe not the right choice.
No, you got to look. You got to survey the land before you enter the Meet Yourself Saturday world.
But you know what? We did it. And
Good.
You talk about incline, like we live at the top of a hill. And so our yard actually slopes down towards our house from the road that our house is on. And so we were on and like going down this way. We didn't have a quarter. We had to do the 60 rounds. So going this way, we were leaning one direction, and going the other way, we were leaning another direction. And I'm a terrible husband and haven't raked the leaves out of our yard. So we were slipping and sliding. And anyway, it was fun, but it was miserable. And both of us are still very sore today. But she enjoyed it, and she was glad that she did it. And so that was fun doing that.
She repped some new gear too, huh?
She did rep some new gear. I finally used my coaching privileges to make some custom stuff.
There we go.
So I would only partially disagree with that's a bad one to start with, just because at least it's one that you can pace out yourself. The ones that the pacing is for you, like Backbone or something like that, they're not too bad because it's like, okay, I have to do this in a certain time, but then I also can only rest this much, or I still have to do this, that kind of thing are the really, really bad ones.
Yeah, well, the previous one was Sally's Revenge, and I did that one by myself, but she asked me, how does this one compare to Sally's Revenge? And Sally's Revenge specifically, I don't think is near as bad as Quarter Mile for Humanity. But I see what you're saying where, the pacing, when it's done for you, it can be tougher to push through it. But
yeah, if there's
but I was like, no, this one is worse. This one is definitely worse than Sally's Revenge. I would do that all day before doing Quarter Mile again.
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right. I guess my updates. I don't have a ton. I'm going to update on Murph. So I went on a surprise trip this weekend. Emily just was like, hey, we're going somewhere. I didn't know where. So we went to go see some friends. This is kind of for my birthday. We went to go see some friends in Atlanta. So I was at a hotel Saturday for Murph and went down to the gym, and it just wasn't a phenomenal setup. They had like Peloton bikes and, a bunch of dumbbells and stuff, but no pull-up bar. I think it's the first time I've ever seen a hotel gym without a pull-up bar. I have seen hotels without a gym, and I've also seen them with pull-up bars. Anyway, so I had to do, and the gym was in the basement. So I had to do a mile on a treadmill down in the basement, up to the rooftop via the stairs, and then pull-ups, push-ups and squats on a pipe. It was just like a big giant pipe I found on the rooftop, hidden away, and then back down the stairs to a treadmill. So a little bit longer than normal, but it was good. It's fun. That was number 51, and there's only one left, and I'm so excited for it.
Just throw a party next week after you're done with it.
Yeah, let's see that when this gets published, it will actually be done. So I'm staying really hydrated this week and keeping my finger on the Instagram pulse, waiting for VD to post his final time. If he does not break my time, I am absolutely just going to coast on number 52. I have nothing to hide there. I'm just going to finish it out with a vest on at a moderately fast pace, but not trying to kill myself. And that's the plan. So that's it. I think that's all my updates.
I think you should just go faster. That's what I think.
Well, we'll see. I always make the PR decision when I wake up that morning. I'm like, okay, let's try it.
Today's the day.
And then sometimes I'm like, not feeling
Chicken and waffles?
That only happened once. I haven't been able to repeat that. Like science
unicorn performance.
Yeah, like science needs to be repeatable. You can't just do an experiment once and then it's like, oh, well, that's fact. You're supposed to be able to repeat the results. I've tried chicken and waffles again. So for anyone who doesn't know the backstory, I had a PR performance a long time ago when I had chicken and waffles for breakfast. I've tried to repeat that, and I think the opposite has happened. So so we know it's not probably the best. All right, let's get into this week. We're actually finally diving into some concurrent training, and I've kind of picked the studies out for a longer term because I want to start talking about concurrent training a lot more, because that's what we do here. And update, if you go to concurrenttraining.com, we are now the proud owners of that domain, because that's how awesome we are and how much we own concurrent training. Anyway, we're going to be diving into that. I'm working on looks like it's going to end up being about 6,000 to 10,000 word. It's not going to be an article. It's more of like a resource on concurrent training that you guys will have access to. Eventually, that's where concurrenttraining.com will point to. Just letting you all super behind the scenes right now. Anyway, talk about that. I want to talk a little bit more about high intensity, where that fits, and just slowly drip these things out over the next couple of weeks in the podcast, because it's taken me, several. It took me about a month to change everybody's opinions about high intensity training and the possible downside. So now we'll start talking about, okay, where does high intensity fit in, and what is concurrent training? Well, what are our views on and all this stuff? But again, that's going to take another month or two to go over all of it. So this is kind of the start of that. The study is the compatibility of concurrent high intensity interval training and resistance training for muscular strength and hypertrophy. And this is a systematic review and meta-analysis. So they're going to be just going over a bunch of different studies. It was done in 2018. They were looking to see if concurrent training has what they call the interference effect, which more recently is now being called the concurrent training effect. It actually has its own name. So the interference effect is where if you do strength and conditioning, how much interference will there be with your quote unquote gains? So if you do conditioning along with your strength training, are you going to build less muscle mass? Are you going to be weaker? So what they're looking to see is, does concurrent training have a concurrent training effect with HIIT versus low intensity? And that's what they're really looking to go over. And the results, pretty straightforward. I'll get straight to that because there's a lot of other things I want to talk about. Essentially, they looked at, let me see, where is it? 14 different studies. 4 of those studies were untrained. 4 were collegiate level or semi-pro, and 6 were just trained or active people, which I think is worth noting for anybody who is listening to this. Like, you probably don't fit in the untrained category. You probably don't fit in the semi-pro. So there's some overlap of what information is helpful for you. But they basically found, I'm just going to read the last line because I feel like it is perfect. Data suggests concurrent high-intensity interval training and resistance training does not negatively impact hypertrophy or upper body strength, and that any possible negative effect on lower body strength may be ameliorated by incorporating running-based high-intensity interval training and longer intermodal rest periods. So they're saying, hey, doing concurrent training is not going to be that big of a deal if you run and rest longer between intervals. Anybody disagree with that? Is that kind of what you got out of it? Okay. And, that's awesome. The only thing that we have to talk about now are our own takeaways and things that we want to pull out of the study, because there was a look at 14 different studies. There's a lot of information we could pull out of this. And I want people to understand concurrent training as much as possible. But I want to start by saying, unfortunately, from a research base, I've probably read every study on concurrent training that's been published. And I don't think I'm joking. Like I'm pretty sure I've read them all, unless new ones, come out. And it's an unfortunately convoluted research space. I can almost prove to you anything that I want in concurrent training just by cherry picking my data. That's why I read every single study. Like I could say that cycling is better than running. I could say running is better than cycling. I could say that there's no effect on hypertrophy and strength. I could say that there's a massive effect just because there's so many studies. And so what's starting to pop out in the concurrent training research space is a lot of these types of studies, meta-analysis, systematic review, all these other things where we can kind of pool all the studies together and, see what the consensus is as opposed to just one study. So that's why I want to write more on concurrent training and pick these things out for people. And that's why we're going to go over the mother of all concurrent training studies at the end of this month. It's going to be awesome. We might not even have a topic that week. I don't know. We might just only talk about concurrent training, but want to give everybody the best possible information they can. So I'll start with Kyle. What's your takeaway, man, from reading through the study on all this?
Well, my first takeaway was it seems that we've been onto something with programming the way that we do. I think we take a lot of flack for it sometimes, but, it's good to have some science to back it up. And what I did notice, and if people read the study, they'll find that with the concurrent training versus just the resistance training, that the strength gains were not as high with the concurrent training, but that the difference between the two was basically statistically insignificant. In other words, the difference between them was not really relative at all. I mean, technically, yes, you could look at it and say concurrent training, you will not have as much strength gain. But the very last line of the study, of the conclusion, said this. It said, also because HIIT has been shown to improve VO2 max, sprint time, and maximal aerobic speed, the slight reduction in lower body strength may be a small price to pay for improvements in other key aspects of sporting performance, particularly under time constraints. And basically what that means is even if you sacrifice, which you still don't, you still gain strength with concurrent training. But even if you sacrifice a little bit of strength gain versus resistance training, even if you sacrifice just a little bit, you're making such great gains in other aspects of your fitness that it basically wipes it out. And so instead of just getting better in one area, concurrent training gets you better in so many areas at once that it wipes out the advantage of resistance training by itself. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do here, is build all around athletes. And so
yeah, and if you pull up some of these individual studies, the difference you're talking about for, resistance training versus concurrent training strength differences, in some cases it was like 0.5%, 1%, 2% difference in strength gains. And so, yeah, you could, as a, factual statement, say no, strength, you will get stronger doing strength training only. It's kind of like a duh, it's like, yeah, of course. But then at the same time, it's like, but how much? It's like, oh, well, you might only gain, it's going to be 1% less strength. If someone told you that, would you be like, well, yeah, screw that. Never going to condition again. That 1% is huge for me. And
some people would say that.
I know. And then what's the
very few?
That's why I try not to do it as much because it made a lot of people mad, but I used to say this a lot, was that if you're only interested in Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting, you're lazy. Like, you are just lazy. I understand, because I love strength training, and it's so much easier than an airdyne or running or a bike. All those things suck compared to strength training. So I really feel like it's just it's more comfortable to only do strength training, and then people look for like a study to try to kind of back them up. But all the gains that you're talking about, like we already went over several weeks ago, one of the key indicators for living a long time is your VO2 max, right? Like, and if you have a crappy VO2 max but a big squat, congratulations. Like, I don't know what to say. Anyway, Ashley, what were some of your takeaways?
So, Kyle, kind of stole mine. I agree exactly with what he said. You got to go first this week. So there
I got to go first. I took advantage.
You did. I guess I will say a little bit on kind of what you just touched on, Jared, just being an overall better human, as well as being able to, we've always kind of linked VO2 max on, living longer, as well as you're going to get gains in other areas, just what Kyle said. So why not do concurrent training? If you can still do strength as well as, you can, if you can run faster, if you can do things, move weight quickly, if you can, live longer, like why wouldn't you choose to do this kind of training? That's my biggest takeaway on that, I guess.
And Joe, how about you, man?
I liked one of the lines in the breakdown that said the concurrent people gained a bit less. So just back to Kyle's, like you can still gain stuff on concurrent, but strength people are just marginally more. But structure matters is my big takeaway. And one of the things that they went through some of the studies was that if you really, really care about strength, then separate conditioning by 7 to 24 hours. Mm-hmm. But you can still do your concurrent training, get working on strength and conditioning, and you can separate those and get the most. But if you're still either pressed on time or you want to gain everything and you're not as concerned of just strength gains, you can still combine the two and still get gains, but you'll just gain a little bit less.
Yeah. So like if you want to train same session, strength first, conditioning right after, yeah, it's going to affect that 1% of your strength. But if you were to wait, like you said, 7 to 24 hours, there might be zero. And it's straight up said, and other studies confirmed, 24 hours is like magic, and that's a lot of times that's why we do that. I'd say we do it 90% of the time in the strength track is typically a strength day, then a conditioning day. And it's for this reason, because the strength track is still concurrent training. It's just way heavily based towards strength and not as much conditioning. And so we really, or when I program that, I really try to separate those as much as possible. But I wanted to point out some actual numbers for people. So this is one of the studies on active athletes. So it was resistance training and concurrent training, and they specifically did high intensity interval training. The squat increase was 16.1%. And I had to reread it because I thought that they messed it up. The squat was 16.1% increase on resistance training and 18.9% increase in concurrent training. So more in concurrent training, unless that was a typo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I reread it multiple times. And then bench press on resistance training only was 23.6% increase. And that's resistance training. Concurrent training was 23.1% increase. So 0.4 difference in strength there for as far as percentage. And they did rest 7 hours in between. And so that is a big takeaway is 24 hours rest. So basically flip-flopping days. The interference effect or concurrent training effect drops to almost zero. There's really almost no effect at all, so it doesn't matter. And the only real reason that would matter for a strength athlete is that you're sacrificing an entire training day to not do strength training. So that I could see that if you're a serious strength athlete, you probably wouldn't want to do that if you're going for powerlifting meet or whatever. But now the only other thing I wanted to hit on was, okay, it seems like this is high intensity, right? This is high intensity interval training. And me specifically, I've been talking a lot of crap about high intensity a lot. And that's what I want to kind of tease out over the next couple weeks is that second I is very important in HIIT, which HIIT you're talking about. There's high intensity training, and there's high intensity interval training. And interval is very important there because that means there's going to be a period of work and there's going to be a period of rest. And so that is where a lot of the high intensity stuff that we're talking about, last week talking about it affecting gut health, all those things, all that still holds true. None of that goes away, even if you're doing high intensity interval training. But your ability to recover from these things is what makes it a little bit better. There's this hormesis, right? We all know what hormesis is. So what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So hormesis is basically everything in health. Like if I want to go sit in my sauna for 20 minutes, great. That's just enough to stress my body. My body will get better. If I want to sit in there for 20 hours, I will die. It's the same with water. If I want to drink 150 ounces of water today, that's great. If I want to drink 1,500 ounces of water today, I will die. There's all these things in health that are like, okay, this amount is good, but going beyond this is bad. And that's the same with high intensity interval training. Is there's a dose that matters. And if you look specifically at their programming, what kind of interval training are they doing? They did a lot of 30-30 intervals. That seems like a good idea. We may or may not have programmed those before. And then they also would do sprints followed by 4 minutes or longer rest in between. So like these ridiculous rest intervals that make people complain. Have we ever programmed stuff like that before? Yeah.
Gains.
Yeah. So like we do that all the time and people are like, this is way too much rest. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why we're resting this much. And I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to understand, but it matters, and we have to do an entire podcast like this and over several weeks for it to really make sense. But this is the start of that intensity conversation. We're going to get into it more in following weeks. But intervals are a lot healthier for you, but it doesn't negate the high intensity bad stuff I've been talking about. It's like using something the correct way with the most minimal effects that you could possibly have. The real problem, and I've said it over and over again, is high intensity every day. So doing that Metcon for 7 minutes, AMRAP, or for time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, skip Thursday, do Friday, it's going to be bad for you. But if you were to program Metcon just a little bit differently, you can mitigate a lot of that. So if you were to go, 21 reps of a couple of different exercises, rest a minute, 15 of a couple, rest a minute, or rest 2 minutes or whatever, then do 9 and then rest 2 minutes. That would make it way more effective and a lot less dangerous. So I just want to throw those things in there because I really want people to understand that high intensity serves a purpose, but you have to know how to use it. But at the same token, low intensity seems to be just fine as well. Like as far as combining it with your training, it doesn't tend to have a negative impact on results for gains. I think that was it.
I think the high intensity for intervals is one of the things that we focus on is also building power, which is the difference of having the low intensity or one of the benefits.
Yeah, that's what you can't just go low intensity all the time either. I mean, you could. Yeah, I mean, technically you can't. I mean, it's just, it would be boring and like you miss out on some of the performance things. I wish I could show that chart. I mean, if you guys remember it, it's from the coaching course and it's like, here's sick, here's the line for like optimal and then like training too much. And we kind of talked about this reverse J curve last week of you train too much, you're going to actually get sick more, like upper respiratory infections, all these other things. And like EO3, we try to be right behind that line, right behind. We don't want to be on this bottom line where there's no risk at all. And we're just like, everything, super chill. We're just going to walk and do bicep curls. But at the same time, we don't want to push too hard to where, you're going to get injured and sick and all these other things. But we want to be right behind that line because we still want a high level of performance. So we do have to introduce ourselves to high intensity, but done in the most correct way possible. All right. Any questions about that? At all confusing? Okay. So they say run and they say have long rest periods for this specific meta-analysis, but I kind of disagree. Kyle, we talked about this a little bit before the podcast started. This meta-analysis is like, hey, running is the best. If you want to do like strength training and whatever, run. But if you look at all the research on concurrent training, it tends to favor cycling just a little bit more. And so that's at the same time, I told you like at the beginning, like I can almost make up anything with concurrent training. I can just be like, no, cycling's the best or running's the best. But I think if we were to tally it up, cycling actually would have more check marks for it than running. All right. That's all I got, guys. It's up to you now, Joe. You got to take it.
Dun, dun,
all right.
Dun.
So this week's topic is on warm-ups. We've kind of touched on warm-ups before and dynamic stretching and other things, but people are always, or a lot of new people come in and ask about our warm-ups and block 0. So with our 5-block daily programming, block 0 is the first block. It's not the first block. It is the 0 block within the hour. And we get questions on it with, how intense you have to go and what you have to do for it. So technically our warm-ups are optional, but warming up is not optional. And we wanted to shine some light on the best ways to warm up and some of our practices and tips on warming up. So we did a webinar on this as well. So if you do have access to programming and such, you can go onto the garage and see the full 1-hour webinar from last year about warm-ups. But we always put in there a couple of things just to get you going, and really just 10 minutes of a couple of different exercises to get the heart rate up and then to prep you for the workout to come. So there's usually something that we want you to do that will get your heart rate up. And then looking at whatever exercises you're doing, you want to do something with those similar muscle patterns, things that you're doing. So if you're squatting or doing something lower body, you're going to want to do air squats or lunges or goblet squats. So it's prepping the body in those ways. And these are the dynamic warm-ups. I also like to add in certain mobility, like certain smashing, but not stretching. And Jared will get into that. But yeah, so we're just going to get into some of our own tips of warm-ups. And just remember that, for us people that are doing our programming, is to just try and keep it to 10 minutes and then move on to whatever the workout is, just to get ready for the day.
Yeah, I'll get started on just some of the things that maybe have evolved for me over the last couple of years. So yes, you don't want to do long static stretching before training. And yeah, whatever. Someone posted that in the group. I thought that this was like a known fact, so I'm glad that we're covering it again. He was like, yeah, apparently you don't do long static stretching. What do you guys think? It's like, yes, damn it. We need to make sure people know this more. Like I said, anytime people post stuff like that, I feel like it's a fault of ours for not communicating something clearly. And so we can do that here. But yeah, you don't want to do that. And I think that you don't need to get too much into the research or the science. It is clear that you shouldn't. And it's because basically the stretch reflex, and it takes a long time for your muscle to recover to be able to still produce the same amount of power it did before. But you could test this very easily. If you just do a really long stretch, like 2-minute stretches for your triceps and then your chest and maybe your shoulders. So do these really long stretches for your pectorals and your triceps, and then do a max set of push-ups. This is something that you could test very easily. Write that number down. The next day, don't do that. Just do some dynamic stretching, arm swings, things like that. Then do a max set of push-ups. And I can guarantee that you are going to do more push-ups with a dynamic warm-up than you will the static stretching one. It kind of takes some of that power, and your muscles can't recover in time to be able to produce enough force. You won't lose all your strength. It just won't be as good as it could have been. So that's something to keep in mind. One thing that I've done, if there was running in my workout, or sometimes I would just use running as part of my warm-up. Now I try to always warm up my hips before. So I get some really small bands. I have some smaller bands, whatever, they're about a foot long or whatever.
The knee bands?
Yeah, so I wrap them around my knees, and we program these things a lot in Block 0, but monster walks or, karaokes or side steps or whatever, forwards and backwards, all those things until my glutes and my hips are burning. That's typically a good part for me to be okay, feeling good. And I've found that has helped my running significantly. I warm up for Murph. I used to not really warm up for Murph that much. I would make sure my shoulders were really loose, because that's the biggest possible injury for me in Murph. I would make sure that they're loose, and I would do lacrosse ball and all that other stuff. But now I hop on the bike for 5, 7, 10 minutes before I start Murph. I make sure my hips are really loose. So yeah, I can spend 10 to 15 minutes warming up for Murph, and my performance has only gotten better and better. since I started doing that. And that was primarily due to recommendations from a physical therapist. She was like, yeah, I know that you think that. I didn't even say this to her. She just knew, because she's kind of an athlete too. She's like, I know you think that first mile is a warm up, but it's not. Like, that's the workout. You need to warm up for the workout. And I was like, you're right. I know that, and I need to be doing it. So I started doing it. So anyway, that's kind of what I've added into my my routine. But I think block zero is really important. 10 minutes. Some people it will take you 27 minutes. Don't do that. Just do the 10 minutes. I try to always say that in all my athlete briefs, like 10 minutes until you feel you are adequately warm, move on, because the session work is more important than, a 20-minute taking your time warm up. It shouldn't take you that long, but some people are like, I don't know, they don't draw any lines, no boundaries. Ashley, how about you in warm up?
The thing I added, well, we all know that I love music, and I love to pick my music based on stuff that we're doing. So I like to get myself in the correct mindset for me. So if we are doing a heavier day with less reps or squatting or anything like that, I like to go and listen to either rock or some rap. And then if I know it's more interval training, or we are running or rowing, then I listen to stuff that has more of like a beat, like a techno beat. So I like EDM, or sometimes I get crazy and I go like Justin Timberlake, maybe sometimes pull Britney Spears. Don't judge me, boys. But for my warm-ups, I'll take a look at the block zero work. But let's say we're doing a heavy back squat, because we all know I love to squat. If I'm going to if the session work starts you out at 85, 90% or 80%, I don't just dive into that after doing air squats. I take the barbell. I like to have my body feel what it feels like to back squat with a barbell. Even though I've done it a million times, I still do an empty barbell. And then I'll throw on some weight on there and kind of work my way up, but not take too long. Sometimes I'll make bigger jumps. I can kind of tell what my body needs that day. Same things with deadlifts. I try to warm myself up adequately, but not so much so that I take away from my training. Because sometimes I've seen people warm up too much, and then, especially if they're going for a 1-rep max or whatnot, they don't have kind of anything left in the tank because they've warmed themselves up for a lot. But yeah, mine's a lot of mindset too. I like to put on some jams and focus on that.
That's good. Getting in the, I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast, but dialing in mentally, before your workout, and maybe not checking Instagram and Facebook during the whole training session, just a challenge to everyone out there. Cause according to research, it could affect your gains, just letting you know. But no, I think that's great. It's awesome.
Yeah. I'd like to write my workouts out just for that reason. I like to not have my phone out when I'm working out. I think you guys know I'm always like, gonna go train. I'll be back in an hour. Like if somebody calls me and it seems like they've called me multiple times, sure, I'll answer my phone, but no.
Yeah, I always turn it on Do Not Disturb, because that's generally normally right when I start my workout, you guys get pretty fired up in Slack. And so I just have to shut it down. Like, no, I want to engage, but I can't. I don't have the time. Yeah. Kyle, how about you, man?
Well, Ashley paid me back. She took all of my points.
That's all that.
Just wanted to say I put mine in the Google Doc, so there's no excuse for stealing my points.
I'm sorry.
She's in a notebook. She's not even looking at the Google Doc.
I know, right? I'll echo the Do Not Disturb thing. There's only one person that can get a hold of me when my phone's on Do Not Disturb, and that's Hannah. And if Hannah needs to get a hold of me during the day when I'm working out, then I need to leave my workout. But that's what I do. I just turn it on Do Not Disturb. Nobody else can get in touch with me. I always, especially with squats, I always start with an empty bar. I did squats today and started with an empty bar, and especially after a quarter mile for humanity. I needed an empty bar warm up. As far as music goes, with 1-rep maxes, it's statistically proven that listening to Metallica during 1-rep maxes increases your PR performance by 62.5%.
Do you listen to Fuel?
Yes, I can link that. I can link the study to that later.
You just need someone to slap you in the face and some smelling salt, and you're going to be perfect.
Yeah. If I had somebody here, I would have them do that. But basically, Metallica is my slap to the face. One thing that I like to do to a warm up, and I've been doing this for a while, actually, since I started with Garage Gym Athlete, something I started doing a long time ago, just something to get the blood flowing. Again, it depends. I don't do it every day, but just depending on what we're doing, I'll do Tabata jump rope. So I'll just do the 8 rounds of 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest, and I'll do a jump rope. That's 4 minutes of your workout, of your warm up right there. And it's something good. It warms up everything, gets the blood flowing everywhere. Especially if I'm doing something with shoulders, I'll always do the jump rope first. And it's worked really well for me. I don't know if it would work for other people, but that's the thing about Tabata. You can do anything Tabata, just anything you want to do for warm up, and just use that format for timing. But that's what I use. So
I literally message you guys on Slack while I'm on my bike. Just saying, no shame. No shame.
I made a really bad mistake last week. I probably should have saved this for the update, but you just reminded me. It was intervals. I didn't feel like running or biking. I was just in a weird mood. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do double unders. Huh. I did like thousands of double unders. and that was the worst idea from not having done them in a long time. I honestly think I did like 1,900 double unders. My calves are just now getting back to normal. And I could tell towards the end, I was like, I can't tell that I'm jumping anymore. like the rope is not getting caught, so I know it's working, but I can't really feel my feet or like below my knees anymore. So that was it. Maybe don't do your interval training with a jump rope, or maybe you have to work up to it to be able to like do that every day. But that was insane.
You're just getting ready for Broken Arrow.
Maybe it's coming. Yeah, I'm trying to get ready. I can finally join Meet Yourself Saturday workouts again. I'm so looking forward to it.
Which means he's going to program all the good ones.
Yes, exactly. I was like, all the hard ones are coming up.
I've actually been saving it. I was like, I don't want to program a bunch of my favorites when I can't do them. So you might see Condition Me to the Grave soon. Broken Arrow's probably coming. Yeah, just a heads up. Speaking of Meet Yourself Saturdays, does anybody want to brief it? I can. I have it pulled up if you guys aren't prepared.
I have it up too. Whatever.
I would love for you to brief it.
Surely. Okay, it's Stairway to Heaven. And part 1 is a 20-minute EMOM. So every minute on the minute, you will complete 20 box step-ups with a weight vest. I believe it's 40 pounds. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, for
competitor level.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can scale down. And then if you are unable to keep the pace, you start over with 2 reps less than your previous attempt until you get a pace that you can handle. So let's say 20 reps every minute on the minute is too much. Then you go down to 18, 16 until you find your pace that you can keep up for a minute. Once you complete that, you then get 3 minutes rest. And again, competitor level is 40 pounds. Established is 30-pound vest with 18 reps. And recruit level is a 20-pound vest with 16 reps or 16 steps, however you want to say it. And then you have part 2, and that is another 20-minute, every minute on the minute. For 20 minutes, you will then complete more box step-ups, except this time with a 20-pound vest. And then have 3 minutes rest after that. And then another no vest this time. You're going to complete 400 box step-ups for time with a 20-minute time cap. It's a lot of box step-ups.
Yeah, it is. It's an incredible amount of box step-ups.
It's a whole lot.
I must have messed up on my my programming here because I was supposed to do this one, but this is going to land on my last Murph, isn't it?
Must have messed up. Uh-huh.
I mean, I might do it on Sunday. This is one of my tops. It's one of my tops.
You suggested this for people with Spartans too, didn't you? For
Joe, you're muted. I didn't mute you. Yeah, this is great for Spartan races, and anyone who wants to be really good at taking the stairs,
Mhm.
which could be a weekly challenge. Any tips? Anybody?
Yeah. So for starters, for just to be smart, pick the right height box, meaning don't pick high of a high box. I'm almost 6 foot, and I would do a 20-inch tops, and that's just because I don't own an 18-inch or something. Because you're going to want to be using the leg that's on top of the box. You're going to want to be using that hamstring and butt. You're not going to want to be pushing off with your bottom calf because you're going to burn out quick, and you're also going to get in a bad position. And it's just not how you should do step ups. Also, the higher the box step ups take a long time. They are pretty time consuming. You can only go so fast because, gravity. And so if you those couple inches after 20 reps per minute, they really add up. So height of the box also will help your step time.
This is a good one to go ahead and shut your ego down. For one of the main reasons is because of what Joe just said, not having some people are like, oh, I got, 24 inches the male height for the box, so I'm going to do 24. Okay, well, your body's going to let you know very soon that was a stupid decision. And if if you're established, or you're a recruit, and you want to say, oh, I'm going to do the 40-pound weight like the competitors, and it's like your body's going to let you know, like, you're an idiot. Why did you do that? So
I love your voice for whoever just has to
no. Well, I have to differentiate.
Right.
That's the voice that my ego has, and so I just thought that's what everybody else.
Oh, so it doesn't have a high pitched like mouse voice.
No.
This workout has an ego filter though. Like,
Yeah.
I will say, because of the restarts at the beginning, if you're like, nope, 24 inches, 40 pounds, like, I'm good at 20, I don't need to do 18 or whatever. And you have to restart a couple times.
It actually punishes you for trying harder.
It has an ego filter in there. Like, if you weren't prepared to do that, then you won't actually complete the workout how you're supposed to. So
yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like, pick everything right to begin with.
You're trying to be nice. I'm trying to be mean. I'm like, you're like, hey, pick it up. I'm like, no, just go for it. Make it as hard as you can. See how many times you have to restart.
Start over. Do it again.
Oh, you lost count. Start over.
I've been there. I'm just trying to help people.
Yeah, I got you.
I want people to survive and not hate us and leave and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Anyway, just be smart. Take your ego out of it, and you'll be okay. You're not going to die. So
most likely.
You're not going to die.
Yeah. All right. Ashley.
So they have really good takeaways, good points. I think for this, you just need to keep moving for the box step ups.
Have you done it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I've only done it at the, I believe, the established level, 30 pounds. I have not done the competitor level, 40
Have you guys done all the Meet Yourself Saturday workouts?
Most of them, yes.
Not even close.
I think it's me and Ashley. Like, okay.
They speak
Should
to
I just
me.
go through them
love
all right now?
I've done a good number of them.
There's like 30.
I haven't done all of them.
We're going to do it real fast. I have most of them pulled up. I'm sure they're not all listed on this page. So just a quick yes or no. Iron Mile.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
Yes. So all yeses. Condition Me to the Grave.
Yes.
Scaled. I didn't have equipment at the time.
You can just say yes. Just say yes. EO3 5K.
Yes, that's my favorite.
Hard to Kill 5 miler.
Yes. Ugh.
Yes.
All right. The fitness test, EO3 fitness test.
Yes.
Yes. Is that a Meet Yourself Saturday?
It is Meet Yourself Saturday. We do it every 12 weeks. Kind of. What the Ruck?
Yes.
Yes.
The South Wrestler.
No,
We don't
yes.
program that one very much.
What's that one?
We don't have time.
Okay.
Murph.
Yes.
25-minute lunge test.
Yes.
I don't
Getting a lot of
think I did
no's
that
from the boys. anyone who's not on the video side of things here.
one. I did the quarter mile. I did the quarter mile for you.
60-minute run for max meters.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Walk the plank.
Yes.
Yep.
Joe, you're just like staring down.
I gotta think.
This is why you're broken, Joe. You're not meeting yourself.
How about under pressure? This is like a lot of double unders
Under
and
pressure.
pull-ups.
Yep.
Nope.
1,000, one of the worst.
Yes.
Okay. Backbone,
Yes.
Quarter
I'll be
mile
doing
for
that
immunity.
one for the first time this week.
Yes.
Clean breathing.
Yes.
I also don't program very much. Geo Metro Thanksgiving Throwdown.
Of course.
All right. Perpetual motion.
Yep.
Think maybe. I don't remember.
Got a couple more. Broken Arrow.
Yes.
Yes. It's
Okay. Patriot.
Yes.
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 All right. Sally's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Dia de los Muertos.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Old MacDonald.
Had a farm.
No.
Joe.
That was the one I made too.
You programmed it and didn't do it. Heavy load, short distance.
I don't know if I've done that.
I don't know. I should do that one though. It sounds like my kind of thing.
Heavy load, long distance.
Yes.
Yeah, so heavy load, long distance is about as simple as it sounds. You like get a heavy load and you go as far as you can. Like that.
I don't think I've done that one.
And some of these are newer, so we've only programmed them like once or twice. DeCarlo,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Confused 2K,
Yes.
Stairway to Heaven, we just talked about.
Yep.
Mhm.
And lastly, Grog Bowl.
Oh yeah, we programmed it. I hope
We put
we've
that
all
one
done
together.
it.
Joe, have you done Grog Bowl?
Joe has not done it.
To be fair, I didn't program that one. I was the throttle. And I
Joe was at PT for that one.
I'm at 12.
All right, so that's I have officially done all of them now that I sometimes I feel like I haven't, but I don't know why I wouldn't have done them since I programmed like almost all of them. Maybe one or two I didn't.
So maybe doing more than half of the Meet Yourself Saturdays has a correlation to injury prevention.
Yeah, maybe. And for
I
anyone
go
out
hard in
there,
other areas, all right? You know,
lacrosse only.
On that
We've
bike,
seen the heart
though.
rate data. You're like, look, I got into the 80% of my heart rate. It's like only during lacrosse.
Sexy Saturday looks really good when you're injured.
Yeah.
that's the plan.
So yeah, Joe does Sexy Saturday. We've talked about this before. And also this highlights a great point though. I'm not going to give you crap. Meet Yourself Saturdays are optional. And Joe heavily exercises the optional clause on the Meet Yourself Saturdays. So there we go. I'm actually surprised I've done them all with
being put on
having
blast. Big time.
no. There's no. You didn't. You could have just lied about them all. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're truthful about it. But yeah, just I'll let the audience decide.
Hey, we're not going to talk about my performance in Meet Yourself Saturday, but I have done most of them. I have completed most of them. So
I'm gonna program
if you
some
want
more.
you can put me on blast for
I'll make
not
an
doing
effort.
very well if you want.
And for anyone out there, don't go do all the Meet Yourself Saturday workouts like at once. I've only had one person actually email me that. They're like, hey, I mapped out this plan. I'm going to do all your Meet Yourself Saturday workouts over the next month. I'm going to do one every day. I'm like, no. Like, that's not why these are here. You'd probably be fine if you're only doing it like 1 month or however long it would take you. But just don't do that. You do it once a week. That's why I only do Murph once a week and not every day. It's like, there's a reason behind it. So anyway, that's it. I'll take it. I'm not going to put it on you guys. Like I said, this is probably what I'll say every week. Go sign up for a Garage Gym Athlete membership if you're listening to this and you are not signed up already. And the only reason I think that you should is to support what we're doing and to get awesome programming in the process. So yes, we care about you. Yes, you will see results. Yes, we follow the science. But if you want us to keep publishing podcasts and putting out the best programming on the internet, we need people in the programming. You know, you support all of us here. So go sign up for a free trial. If it's not your thing, guess what? It doesn't need to be your thing. You can just cancel, leave. That's fine. You tried it out. I appreciate you at least giving it a try. I think that with 7 different tracks now, we have a spot for almost anyone. So if you want to support us, the show, what we're doing in the fitness world, go sign up for a free trial and then stick around if you enjoy it. But that's all I have. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.